obviously were, looking at footage as you went, and how did you shoot? Did you try to shoot chronologically, actually? Or?
No, in fact, because I was adamant, I did not want to do superimpositions with the photos. Like, I really didn't want to do that in post where someone's holding a photo and we had to, like, paste in. No, we're not doing that. So that meant that when we shot a scene where someone's holding a photo of tomorrow, we have to have already shot that scene of tomorrow. And so we actually had to shoot most of the movie in reverse chronological order so that we always had tomorrow in the can for today. Which, I mean, you don't shoot a movie in order anyway, so it wasn't really that big of a problem, but it was certainly a thing we had to think about as we did it. And those Polaroids, as you all probably know, Polaroid is long dead, like it's not a thing anymore. There was a company, the Impossible Project, which bought the formula, and they are making Polaroid film, but you can't wiggle it in the light to get it to develop. You actually have to turn it upside down because it's light sensitive. So that didn't help us. So we had to buy thousands of Polaroids, cut out the guts.
And they aren't cheap anymore.
No, I know. Even the ones that aren't going to work aren't cheap. So we, thousands of them, cut them out, and then shot the photos, did a process in Photoshop to make them look like a Polaroid, printed them out, cut them, and then put them inside the little sleeves, and then put them up on the wall. It was a whole, it was like 4 people just working on that all the time.
Yeah, now I see. True size.
Right, yeah. And the art team building the machine, that was 4 or 5 people. They worked for a month just working on that.
Right.
We shot that at the very end, the last 3 days. But pretty good. Really, my best day was, you don't see because we cut it out of the movie, but it was shooting with John Rhys Davies, Lord of the Rings, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I was a big nerd for his films and sliders and all that, and we got him as Mr. Bezarides. And that day, I felt like a real director, because I was suddenly talking. I was directing someone that had been directed by Steven Spielberg, and we could sit there and talk about, on-set stories and stuff. And he was super professional and really giving, and I don't know, it was a really wonderful day. And again, unfortunately, we cut his scene out of the movie, but I don't know. I mean, shooting's a nightmare, but it's really fun to have all those creative people, focused on one goal. Post-production I liked, but it dragged on, and so that made it kind of painful, and you're alone a lot, I don't know. I like the social aspects of filmmaking, so yeah. Both have their merits. I think as long as you're not blinded by the friendship, or you don't feel codependent in some way, like you have to accept their point of view or accept their feedback, then I think working with friends is great, because you have a rapport, and under pressure, you want to be with people you jive with. So I would usually skew towards working with friends. But having said that, I do like the idea of working with new artists every time, so it's always sort of if we got this guy who I don't know that well, but he really brings this special whatever to the cinematography or the score, then yeah, of course it's tempting to go that way as well.
You want it based on understanding their process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was not worried, but I was concerned about this going in because I knew, I was nervous. These actors had done way more feature films than I had. Well, 0. Anybody could do more than that. But yeah, they were really experienced actors, all of them, even the kids. And so I was nervous about finding a way to navigate their personal preferences. And it's true, Danielle did not really want to do a lot of rehearsal. She felt like it made the material stale. And to be fair, she didn't need to. She was a machine. I mean, she showed up and knew her lines, everything was perfect. Matt is, really wanted to do a lot of rehearsal and just really, he slept in the location for like a week or something, sort of a methody. And I was like, hey, that's great. But they have until they found out there was fleas, and then he moved out. But Matt and Danielle, they have intimacy, and so I felt like it was important for at least to have some rehearsal, try to work out their relationship, and it was complicated because they had each already fabricated a backstory to the relationship. One of them, felt like, oh, we met this way, and the other one was like, no, like I clearly, saw you from afar, and we dated for a year, and so it was really, it was tricky to get that to all sort of line up. And sometimes it doesn't need to line up as long as they've got a story internally. But it was, I of course, in my mind wanted everything to make sense, in a cohesive whole for everybody. And I started to realize, oh no, they need to have their own little worlds. And as long as the world that I capture, the little Venn diagram works out, then we've got a movie, But even on set, some of them read the dialogue exactly as I wrote it, and some of them wanted to change dialogue. And that, the ones that wanted to change it ended up screwing up the ones that didn't, they wanted to read exactly as it was. And then some of them were better on the first take, and some were better on the 7th take. And so then you have to figure out, well, how's that going to work, especially in a 2-shot, But